Today. It's a huge area. In the lighter red, you've got a marginal threat from Chattanooga through Atlanta, Huntsville as well, and even into the upstate of South Carolina. But that bold red right in here, that bright from Birmingham to Montgomery all the way down to the Florida Panhandle, this is where the ingredients come together a little bit better. They're more aligned to give us that severe threat. Damaging winds will be the main threat, but we cannot rule out tornadoes. Our Torcon number not high on the scale, 10 being the highest number you can go, but it's still 2 and 3 for this region, especially south of Birmingham down towards Destin, Mobile. You're in that 3, and that means we could see a tornado watch being issued later on today. So a few tornadoes are possible, but also expect severe weather. Even if you don't get a tornado, severe weather includes 60-mile-per-hour winds, and we did have reports of some pretty big hailstones back into eastern Texas just yesterday. As you can see, the rain is coming down. No watches or warnings at this early hour, but it is lightly raining in Birmingham. Then you've got the heavier downpour showing up in the yellow and the orange right along the Mississippi-Alabama state line. So we're going to watch that progress to the east. All the while, the sun is doing its thing. You've got the sun heating up the atmosphere, so you get that daytime heating, and that adds more energy into this line of storms as it continues to push eastward into Destin right about lunchtime. Also around Dothan and Auburn, Alabama, on up towards Atlanta, Marietta Square. You got the showers moving into the Reedy River in Greenville, South Carolina, Charlotte. More storms coming for you as we head toward the evening hours, and you're still not clear even as we head into our Sunday for this region right here in Virginia and the Carolinas. So through tomorrow morning, it is possible we see flooding anywhere you see the green, but especially where you have the mountains here in the southern Appalachians. You get that orographic lift, and that helps to enhance some of the rainfall. Could see 2 to 3 inches in that darker shade of green, 1 to 2 inches elsewhere for the I-20 corridor right on down toward I-10. And by the way, the past 7 days, we have been inundated a foot to nearly 2 feet of rain in the eastern parts of Texas, and that's why the rivers have burst their banks, including the San Jacinto right there in the Houston area, still experiencing widespread major flooding at this time. Around feeling more like springtime for millions of us. We are running above average the next few days. You've got today, you've got tomorrow, and even into Monday, 149 million still dealing with the above average temperatures. So much above so, we're going to be flirting with records. You've got the dots on the map in the west, a few dots in the plains, and even on the east coast where we could be tying or breaking records in terms of how warm it will be for those overnight lows. Temperatures right now are sitting at 60 degrees in Atlanta. That's warmer than our daytime high should be. Typically on this January day, we peak out in the mid-50s. Certainly Nashville experiencing the above average temperatures as well, going up into the 50s. Tomorrow, we are going to see a little bit of a cool down for the middle of the country, but for the most part, it is all about the warmer temperatures. Jet stream, it depends on the position, right? You get that big ridge visiting Canada. That allows for the warm air to go northbound, whereas by the end of the week, we will see some cooler air coming into the west, showing us that storm system that comes in. And meanwhile, out ahead of that storm system, you've got temperatures going 20, 25 degrees above average. This is the way it looks as we flip the calendar. Hard to believe this is the last weekend of January. Next weekend, the first weekend of February, looking to be pretty warm for the Great Lakes and Northeast. A place like Minneapolis, where the average high should be right around 24 degrees. Reynolds, we're going to be doubling that as we head towards next weekend.
Okay.
But take a look at Chicago, for example. Over the past week, we have seen, of course, the flooding, the warmer air. You've got the ice jam concerns, not just on the Kankakee, but the Illinois, the Iroquois River as well. That's what's noted right here. We've got minor flood stage for the most part in a place like Peoria, but Kankakee, that flood warning until further notice.
If you're walking any of the dogs in any of these communities, you're going to wipe the paws off, right? Because the ground is so squishy, all that moisture feeding into these tributaries, that water is still going up there in flood stage.
Yeah, but thankfully we did go down quite a bit, as Lisa just mentioned, down to minor flood stage on that section of the Kankakee, but you'll notice that we're still rising in some of these areas along the Illinois River. Snow depth right now, it really disappeared. It's doing well in the mountains for sure, but look at Chicago. Look how it just did a disappearing act.
Yes, so just so you know, we're going to finish up this month probably in pretty grand ways if you want to avoid the snow. That's the way it's going to be for you in Buffalo too. Wow, going from the 20th cleared into the 26th.
So much at the beginning of the month.
A lot of momentum.
This is what fog, warm air, and rain. It is a very, rain-eating producer, snow-eating producer out there.
Absolutely. Hey, Buffalo's in New York.
The interior sections in the Northeast, you have a better shot at seeing some accumulating snow. And that would be a good thing. We've kind of seen a dwindling of our snowpack here in the Northeast, courtesy of the fog and the warm temperatures this past week. But here comes the low pressure system. That is going to bring us the storminess in terms of our moisture. Now what we need is some some cold air to bring us back to wintertime, and that's going to be handled by that high pressure system off to the north. Clockwise flow around that high, funneling in the cold air. It's all about timing, especially for the 95 corridor. And right now it looks like we run out of moisture by the time the cold air gets here. New York, Philadelphia, and D.C. Where D.C. at D.C. Reagan National, we had a record high yesterday of 80 degrees. So it's still pretty warm out there. The Mid-Atlantic especially, that rain noses in from the southwest. You've got West Virginia, into Pennsylvania, Punxsutawney, where they're getting ready for the festivities next week. It is all rain. And then eventually, as that cold air comes down, we're talking about noontime Sunday. That's when we begin to see more blue showing up on the map. Upstate New York into New England. Yes, Boston, we have a chance of seeing maybe 1 or 2 inches. That's really about it. It's not going to be a major storm, that is for sure. However, West Virginia mountains, you guys have the opportunity to get maybe 2 to 3, possibly up to 5 inches there at Snowshoe. Up here in the Catskills, the Poconos, Adirondacks, and where you see the purple, 5 to 8 inches of snow on the way. Maybe not doing away with our deficits, Reynolds. We definitely need the snow. We're looking at below average for a lot of these places.